So today we brought a saxophone, and I was just wondering if you could show us what you remember or know at the top of your head.
That's where he went. That's where Daniel
Yeah,
went.
that's
He
what
went to
they
go
were
grab
doing.
the saxophone.
Hello everyone, welcome to the 12th episode of Slurp Up, the show with good drinks and even better questions. Before we begin, I'd like to thank our sponsor for today's episode, Kirkland Smiles Dentistry. We believe in providing exceptional dental services delivered with personal care for your optimal health and comfort. We invite you to come visit your friendly neighborhood dentist. We are here to partner with you to provide the dental care you need so you can enjoy the foods that you love. Today, we are joined by Pastor Troy, a chaplain at PSAA who loves a good cup of coffee, debating controversial topics with his students on mission trips, and spoiling his favorite seniors. PT, welcome to the show.
Hey,
Glad
to be here.
Oh, sorry. How are you feeling today? And are you nervous? What are your thoughts?
I'm tired.
You're tired.
I'm
Honestly,
more
I'm
tired
tired too.
than nervous. Usually when I'm tired, it's because Bryden had a bad night of sleep, but it was my fault. I just woke up an hour and a half early.
What time do you
normally
usually
do.
wake up?
I usually wake up a little before 6, and I woke up before 5. And,
Before 5?
Mm-hmm, and I couldn't go back to sleep, so then I just got up and started working and doing things. So
I couldn't imagine
tired.
going. So what is the drink and what makes it your favorite?
So this is my go-to. It's a short latte, and any coffee place I'm going to, it's the thing that I will get the most to see and compare. So for many years when I tried new places, like this is my thing. So a short latte means 8 ounces total. It's 2 shots of espresso, and then it's milk, and usually it's whole milk. So you have 2 ounces of espresso shot, about 6 ounces of steamed milk, and that's a short latte.
I never tried one, so.
And it means that it's not a cappuccino too. So a cappuccino would have more milk foam to it. A latte is like less foamy than a cappuccino. So.
Oh wow, it's kind of bitter.
Well, especially if you're not used to drinking it. Yeah. So this would be this would be my go-to, and then if I'm really feeling like I want an even stronger experience of coffee, then I often will do what's called a macchiato, which is not the Starbucks style. A macchiato is in even less milk, so you get even more of the espresso flavor. Yeah.
So here, there's a painting we have in front of us, behind us, sorry. So you have a lot of different paintings around your classroom, each with different meaning, hidden and not. And this one happens to be your favorite at the moment. And why is it your favorite, and what's the meaning behind it?
You know, I think that the reason it's my favorite is that the more that I've looked at it, the more that I see things that I haven't noticed before. So when I first glanced at it on the internet, I liked the color. A lot of times I don't like super tons of rainbow colors, but for some reason the layout of this really struck me, and I was really taken that it's not a real distinct picture of Jesus on the cross. So like, it's more what we would say impressionistic.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fuzzy, you know?
Yeah, it kind of is.
Yeah, so it's what we would say is like impressionism, like, you know, Monet style. And what struck me about it is that from originally, I remember it was that you had this big X. So like the cross is actually kind of making this big X. And then with all the colors, you have like a lot of this light. So you have the dark and then a lot of the white, and that really caught my attention. And then as I started, I didn't really notice much more.
Like
and
looking more into the colors?
Yeah, I didn't really notice much until I got it I ordered it online. And then when it came and I started staring at it at different angles, I started catching different things. So like just even yesterday for the first time looking at it, I noticed that this kind of a swoop thing here from a kind of a farther distance, the way this looks, it almost looks like a dove coming down, which makes you think of Jesus' baptism.
Does, yeah.
It's kind of like a bird coming down, which would represent the Spirit. And then you have all these like kind of people kind of fuzzy in the background that are noticing this. And then you can tell that there's kind of like building structures, which is interesting because he would have carried the cross through buildings. Usually we think of it always on the hilltop. So it's unique to have it around the city part of Jerusalem where there would be the temple and buildings before they get to Golgotha, the hill where he's actually
I feel
crucified.
like I haven't really taken a good look at it. I've always seen it, the back, but I haven't really looked at it, and I didn't realize what it was actually.
Right, and then just
Yeah.
even right now, as we're looking at it, this is the first time I've ever noticed this really taken attention of this yellow. So you have like the crown I've noticed, but this yellow is interesting, and then you'll see yellow show up in other spots now. Because if you find a color, like of course here's like darkness, like the darkest red is right here. In his chest area, but then I've noticed in the yellow now there's this what looks probably like a woman with the yellow. It's like, oh, is this like
Wait.
connecting him to marry his
Oh,
mother?
maybe.
You know, and so it makes you wonder, is this maybe another one of the ladies that was super close to him? I don't know, but it's a unique thing, and I really like it. Yeah, I mean it's obviously it's a tough scene, but that's what's interesting about the cross is it's a tough scene that brings a lot of hope.
So my next question is, so everyone knows Bryden around here, and he like always says hi to everyone and stuff. Do you have like a funny story you can think of Bryden, a favorite memory with him?
Oh man, that's such a hard question because there's so many. Let's see, what is something that Bryden did recently?
It could be from years ago, something that is stuck in your brain.
Boy, what is something? More recently, I just have loved that he loves Jacob Collier because I really like that. It's that singer, and he's he's won several Grammys now, and I got kind of interested in him and his story. And then Bryden likes this one song of Jacob's, and he will just ask to play it over and over and over. And so I've heard it so many times. And yeah, he's funny that way. He likes something and then he'll keep asking you for it. I think on the way to school though, like if I'm trying to make him feel a little bit better, because sometimes when he comes to school he's kind of sad.
He doesn't want to go to school.
He doesn't want to go to school.
Yeah.
So for the last few years, every once in a while, I'll do this, and it usually makes him laugh. So I'll say, Bryden, guess what? And then he'll get usually a little smirk on his face, even if he's kind of grumpy. And then he'll say, what? And then I'll say something like, I love you. Like, I always say I love you in some weird voice, and he just likes goofy, weird dad.
Yeah.
And so then and then he'll be, again. And then I'll be like, Bryden, guess what?
So it's on repeat before school.
Yep. And sometimes I won't do it here, but sometimes I will say I love you as I'm burping. And
he thinks it's funny.
That's the top.
Yeah.
That's the winner. Yeah.
What is your favorite genre of old time? And this is kind of a weird question. Who's your least favorite artist?
Okay. My favorite genre of all time would be alternative, because that's where I really fell in love with listening to music regularly, was alternative back when I was
Actually don't know what alternative is.
So like back in the 1990s, early 90s, when I was in 7th and 8th grade, I just liked alternative. It was like a new type of music, and in fact it was actually here in Seattle where the alternative scene like kicked off. And so I did a lot. I listened to a lot of that. But then later high school, I fell in love with Dave Matthews Band, and just Dave Matthews music.
The Who You Met?
That's who I met.
Twice.
Speaking of
Isn't it
coffee,
twice?
I've met him two
at
separate
the coffee
times
shop.
around Seattle.
That's
My first time I
crazy.
met him, I actually bought his coffee, and we walked around the cafe. We walked around the street of. It was Stumptown Coffee around Seattle University, and we actually walked around for almost a half an hour just talking. And it was. I remember.
Oh, you walked around? I thought you said.
It was one of my most nervous moments, but like I was trying to keep it together.
Yeah.
But like this was like. He's a huge musician, but he liked talking to me enough to like. I bought his coffee as a thank you, and then we just kept talking and walked around for a while.
I didn't know you guys walked, because I remember you were telling our class. I thought you were just talking at the shop, and then
we
you
did.
just
Yeah, we were
left.
at the shop for probably about 10 minutes because there was quite a bit of a line, and we were waiting. And then I think for probably another 20 minutes, like we actually walked up the street, which was neat. And then all of a sudden he's like, "Hey, I gotta go," and I gotta go pick up my daughter from school, and then he like hopped in his car and went. I was like, so it was cool. The least favorite genre. What's my least favorite genre? You know, when I was your age, it was for sure I would have said country.
Yeah.
And
I still think country.
I would have said that, but
I don't
it's
like
not.
country.
It's not country anymore.
Yeah.
It's not country. I would say, I would probably say electronic music, though I like a lot of electronic
What is
music.
electronic music?
It's
Is it like funk?
no, electronics it's like where they use a lot of like techie computer equipment with different sounds, or whatever. And I actually really like a lot of certain types of it, but some of it, it's pretty easy to find stuff you're like, I am not into this. This is weird. So I think as a genre, it's a hit or miss for me.
I see that you really like coffee and coffee shops, and I always see you with the coffee in your hand.
Yep.
So what made you start loving coffee? Like, where did it come from?
It actually
Where's
is
the
at that.
love?
It actually the real true kickoff for me to be serious about coffee, where it's not just something I like, but it's actually a hobby of mine. Was actually at that Stumptown Coffee, where I met
Is
Dave.
it in Seattle?
In Seattle, it's right next to Seattle University, and I would go there with a friend of mine when I was a banker at U.S. Bank. We would meet there, and he was really into coffee, and so it was him ordering coffee in different ways that got me serious about it. I liked coffee in college, and I would go and drink it every once in a while with friends, and it was not a regular thing. But then with this friend, that was it.
Did
and
you?
Then, go ahead.
Sorry. Did you like try his order? Did he make you try?
I did, and I had an experience
stuff?
like you just had with me, where you're like, "Oh, that's bitter." Like, he actually started me off early with a macchiato, an actual traditional Italian style macchiato, which is 2 shots of espresso.
Is it really, really bitter?
You would find it very bitter, and
So
I
that's a
wouldn't
bad
anymore.
way to start. Your
It
friend
was
off
a little
of that.
much.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to be like but I totally lied. I was like, it was a bit much for me. He's like, "What do you think?" You know, and I was just like, "Oh, this is great, man." I'm like, I actually liked the flavor, but it was so intense. And now it's funny because I could sit and drink a couple straight shots of espresso and enjoy it. It's
those type of
it just kind of
macchiatos?
builds
Yeah.
up over time. You acquire the taste, yeah.
And you also have a coffee machine, I heard, an
I
expensive
do
one.
in the side room. I do.
Like how much was it, and like
Well,
did you buy it yourself?
I didn't buy it at the retail value. So I didn't buy it at the retail value. I had got a good deal on it, but at the time, this is a while ago. This is like 8 years ago. It was the machine. Just the espresso machine was probably, I think, a little over $3,000.
That was $3,000. So it's like really good.
It's really good machine.
It's really good.
It's commercial components, and it's a really high-end machine. And then the grinder is probably $2,000 retail. I didn't pay that much.
I've asked you questions about many different topics, and you're known for being a person that people go to discuss many different controversial topics with in class, and just singular with people. Which one of those discussions have you enjoyed most, and with who?
Difficult topics, and enjoying difficult topics with classes.
Yeah. Like, do you have anything that comes to your mind that's very
Definitely, I actually have a letter in that side room where we were talking about with my coffee machine. I have a letter there from Katie. What's Katie's last name?
I don't know who's Katie.
Wong. Yeah, Katie. I can't think of her last name, but Katie Wong. She wrote, when she graduated, each of us teachers, she wrote us this really thoughtful, like handwritten, about a page note to, I think,
Really?
to each
Like
of us.
when
It was
she
really neat.
graduated?
Yeah. And it was these really thoughtful notes that she did for us. And I loved her opening line to me. It was something like, "Pastor Troy, I'll never forget the day that you said Catholic is not a bad word." And I really took that as a compliment because, one, she remembered something that I had said. And as a teacher, a lot of times you're like, I'm saying things but it was a good lesson on like what the word Catholic actually means. Like lowercase Catholic means universal, and in the first few hundred years of the church, it meant the early group of the church, and then it becomes a capital C with the denomination Catholic. And for me, it's an important topic as an Adventist because we're a Protestant church, which means we have a history of protesting the Catholic Church, and there are interesting and important reasons for us to do that and to know about that. But at the same time, I think that it's gotten so far that for a lot of people, like if they hear that, oh, that person's a Catholic, then they're like, oh, they're evil. Oh, we can't trust them. Oh, the devil's going to be working through them. And I'm like, have you heard of a person named Mother Teresa? I think a lot of times the controversial stuff that I get into with classes and in different ways could really be tied to this one idea, which is, I think, always interesting to me, which is what I call tribalism.
Yeah.
It's us versus them. You know, we like to be comfortable and secure in our group, and like when we look at the other group, you know, it's like, well, us Adventists, like we have the truth, but not them, and you know, not them and not them. And I am very challenged by that kind of division. I think it's good to be convicted in what you believe, but I think it's also good to be humble and realize, well, we don't have it all figured out. We're not God.
So this last thing that I have prepared for you, in the recent article that came out on the PSA Connection, you mentioned that you knew how to play the saxophone because during your wedding proposal, you played some songs before proposing to your wife, which I think is very romantic. So today we brought a saxophone, and I was just wondering if you could show us what you remember or know at the top of your head.
That's where he went. That's where Daniel went.
That's
He
what
went to
they
go
were
grab
doing.
the saxophone. Oh man.
Brand new read.
Brand new read? Oh boy, I don't know if I'm gonna.
Wait, whose saxophone is this?
I mean, I'm not gonna
Really?
be able to. Here. Brand new read. This is fun. You guys are fun. You're full of all kinds of surprises. I mean, I played some Kenny G stuff, but I would have to have it on I would have to have it like I'm very music tied.
Yeah.
Like I need the notes.
But it's impressive.
But
you
yeah.
just knew this.
Well, I've been playing this instrument since I was in 5th grade, and I played it a ton. So hey, this got a nice tone. Is this your saxophone? Yeah. Nice tone.
Well, that's the last thing that I had prepared for you.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
sweet.
Thank you for watching this episode of Slurp Up. Thank you to Pastor Troy for coming on the show.
Glad to
Once
be here.
again, thank you to Kirkland Smiles Dentistry for sponsoring this episode, and stay tuned for the next interview.
All right.
Thank you.
Really good.
Yeah, that was good.
Takes you back. You should join our band. You should join our jazz band.
How do you say this? Wait. Niche?
Niche.
Niche? Oh.
Niche. If it like
Niche.
it means like specific, so you can like make.
I heard it.
I heard that you have a really like interesting thing.
Okay.
You can make what
I
I
heard that
just
you have
I
a thing
just
for-
needed to get the question down.
Yeah, let me see.
Okay.
Wait, so niche?
Niche.
Niche.
If you just
I never use that. Oh.
Nietzsche.
Niche.